I'm Harry Mays, and the Eagles are back at it this week at 6-2. But even during their week off, they assumed more control of the NFC.
I'm Jason Martinez, and the second half is here. Are we in for yet another wild ride?
I'm Louie DiBiase. I think adding Jair Alexander was the biggest move Howie Roseman made before the trade deadline.
I can't wait to hear that explanation. And I'm Marc Farzetta, and I am feeling it when it comes to another great run in the second half for your Philadelphia Eagles. All that and more in this edition of Locked On Eagles Squad Show.
Fly, Eagles, fly. It's the Eagles Squad. Everything Philadelphia Eagles every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the city of brotherly love. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Eagles Squad Show starting now.
And we do want to remind you guys that this particular Thursday is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup at PrizePicks. So make sure you guys have all the fun on PrizePicks. The trade deadline is come and gone. We'll evaluate how much better the Eagles got since the last time we were all together, breaking it all down. Whether or not they are poised for a great run in the second half of the season, similar to what they were after the bye week last year. Wasn't halfway, but it was still a great run after the bye. The biggest concern remaining for this Philadelphia Eagles roster going forward, and Nakobe Dean versus Jihad Campbell, who, gentlemen, will play in the middle of this Eagles defense next to Zach Bond. But let's start it off, Harry, with this Philadelphia Eagles squad and what they have done since the bye week. There have been grades out there. I'm not going to ask you guys for a grade. If you want to give one, give one. My feeling is that this team got better in two areas they needed to get better in. I feel like they got much better at the cornerback position, and they got better not just at the edge rusher when it comes to getting after the quarterback here, but also when it comes to stopping the run and Jalen Phillips. I think it's a great pickup by Howie Roseman, and I think this team certainly got a lot better at the deadline. Where are you in this post-deadline assessment of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, I mean, personnel-wise, yeah, they did get better. It was a flurry of moves by Howie Roseman. I like the Jalen Phillips move the most. To me, I don't know what to expect from Jair Alexander. I mean, I've been reading some scouting reports on him that he is nowhere close to being the player he was a few years ago in Green Bay, and that somebody described him as clunky in coverage. That doesn't sound all that great to me. Now, maybe they can fix him. They only gave up a 6th-round pick for him, so it's really they're kind of just throwing bodies at the wall here for this cornerback depth, or to find a third cornerback, and to play a guy to play on the outside with the two studs that they have, and hopefully they'll be able to coach up one or two of these guys where they can actually contribute and not be just a glaring weakness going forward. But I do like the Jalen Phillips. When he's healthy, he's good. And he played under Vic Fangio for, 6 games, I think he started, and he put up like 6.5 sacks in those 6 games and even got an interception. So he was very productive in what Fangio wants to do. It's just a question of whether, his body is going to allow him to do so for the Eagles. And then you get Brandon Graham back, and we'll see what he's got. I don't know. There's a whole lot of question marks, but they definitely got better.
They're not the same. That's for sure.
No.
They definitely changed the dynamic, and I think one of the things that you mentioned there, Harry, is Brandon Graham coming back. It also changes the locker room.
Yeah.
Not that the defensive side of the ball we felt like needed more leadership or anything like that, but Brandon Graham affects the entire locker room. So I think that is a good thing. And, I don't like the term in your scouting report that you saw, clunky.
That was
when
the
it
word.
comes to a corner. But that being said, can a guy rally on a team that's got a chance to do something for a second half? I go back to Ronald Darby. Remember they got Darby?
Yeah.
And he came in and provided something. He had that interception for the touchdown in the Minnesota game. So, look, you got some question marks. Are they upgrades? Probably at least minimally. Are they a major upgrade? We'll find out. But there were some weaknesses, so you had to address it. And leave it to Howie. You knew he was going to address it.
I'm going to leave it to Louie. Yeah, Louie, I'm going to set you up for it. You're excited about Jair Alexander. Why? Why
Yeah,
are
I
you
think
excited
it's
about Jair Alexander?
I think it's less about the player specifically and more about what he presents as optionality for Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is the best slot cornerback in football. When you traded for Michael Carter, I think right now Michael Carter's probably a better player than Alexander, but he is not going to play on the outside. Alexander has played both slot and outside. He is only 28 years old. He has not had a good couple years, but he's the same age now that Darius Slay was when he got first traded to the Eagles in 2020. This is a former All-Pro, Pro Bowl player that in a Vic Fangio defense that normally gets the best out of players. Look at Josh Uche this year, for instance, a guy that was a healthy scratch last year in Kansas City. I just think that he's maybe their best option of allowing Cooper DeJean to stay where he is right now, whereas we know, unfortunately, Keely Ringo is not that guy. I don't think Adoree Jackson or Jacorian Bennett are either, and Michael Carter is a slot-dependent player. So I think I'm more excited just about the optionality that Alexander presents. And like Harry said, none of these players are guaranteed to be studs, right, at the deadline. But now you just have so many options at both of these spots that you had some questions about depth. Law of average says I think at least one of these guys will pan out where now suddenly on this roster, there's not one position I'm saying heading into the playoffs, oh, this could cost them in a big moment. Now even at corner, I feel pretty good about their depth.
So you see Alexander being in contention for the outside corner spot and Cooper DeJean staying at nickel?
I think it's an option. Alexander has played both on the outside and in the slot when he was with the Green Bay Packers. And I think that's one of the first, there's a lot of different combinations you could put together with all these corners, musical chairs right now at this point in the secondary. But I think it's the first thing I would try. Let's see, we know what we have in Ringo. We know what we have in Jackson. Probably know what you have in Jacorian Bennett at this point, even though he hasn't played much. Let's just, before we move Coop to the outside full time, let's just see what we have in this former great player that is still only 28 with a new, breath of fresh air with a different team. So that would be my idea first. And then if he's clunky in coverage, as the report says, then I think you go to Carter in the slot and DeJean full time on the outside. But Coop is just so good in that spot. I really don't want to move him.
Yeah.
What
he's
happened with
great.
Jair in Baltimore then? Can you explain it? Because I can't. That defense stinks.
He was inactive.
Yeah.
I don't think he was very good. I'm not going to act like he's still the player he was in, for instance, 2022, when I thought he was one of the best inside-out corners in football. But again, I think a lot of it has to do with injuries, and the more the season goes on, let's see in a new scheme if he can be something. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern. It's definitely a shot in the dark. I just like that Howie Roseman took a bunch of those shots because, again, one of them normally will pan out with the talent that these guys have had in their production in the past.
It's like late night at a bar and you take your shot. You got to take a lot of shots. To
Take
score.
1,000 shots, you might hit a couple, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you
you might
might
hit a 2
score.
or 3.
Hey, shoot or shoot, man. Shoot or shoot.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I see this as – I thought Vic Fangio played very coy. He was very adorably coy in his last press conference where he talked about, hey, how much influence do you have with Howie Roseman and what happens at the trade deadline when it comes to the defensive side of the football? Minuscule.
Yeah.
And they go and get a guy who played great under him, albeit very limited in his 1 year in Miami and the 8 games he played and the 6 games that he started under Vic Fangio and Jalen Phillips. Then they go out defensively and they add 2 other guys as well before the trade. Well, one at the trade deadline, one before, and Michael Carter. Michael Carter is a nickel corner, and he's, if you could call it a starting nickel corner, he's a starting caliber nickel corner. He's played 2,200 snaps at the nickel corner spot. And Vic Fangio had talked about how there have already been the conversations about Cooper DeJean playing more on the outside and permanently on the outside. The only reason he hasn't yet is because, Louie, to your point, he is if not the best, he is one of the best nickel corners in the game right now. So why ask somebody who is great at something to do less of that and more of something else where you don't want to necessarily test the waters on? But I think when you look at all these moves, they line up to more of Cooper DeJean on the outside, and I think Michael Carter being the nickel.
Yeah. I think, again, when you look at it, they added more options. I think they knew, and we all knew, that the trio of Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, and Jacorian Bennett, it wasn't going to be consistent enough the rest of the year to have a permanent solution there. I think all of them were just going to continue to play, and all of them were going to have up and downs. Whereas now, again, like with Carter, you're probably right. I think that's going to be probably the permanent move for the rest of the year. He's in the slot, DeJean's on the outside. But a couple more options here between 5 guys. You got to find at least one player is going to have a certain level of consistency. I'm not saying any of them are going to get back to like who Darius Slay was last year, but some of them have been real liability so far this year. Look at that first Giants game when Quinyon Mitchell got hurt. That was a problem having 2 of those guys on the field, and the Giants didn't even have very good receivers.
I think Bennett deserves another shot, though.
I think he's going to get it. Fangio's mentioned it a couple times that he still wants to see what that guy has. So I think Bennett will play. Yeah.
Here's the good news. Vic Fangio is like a wizard. You give him a lot of different options, he can figure it out. Because he's a guy that knows how to hide his weakness pretty well. And even if one of these guys, whether it's on the outside or in the nick, whatever, he's going to find a way to not let it exploit the team or sink the team. Now, that may take a little bit, and you don't have a little bit, really, if you want to maintain home field advantage when you look at the schedule with Green Bay coming up, Detroit. I mean, it's a tough schedule coming up, so they're going to have to hit the ground running after this bye. And, Lord, it feels like an eternity since they've played. And they're not even going to play until Monday.
It has.
Yeah.
It's a mega bye week.
But a lot happened. A lot happened.
A ton happened. Like, their bye week couldn't have come in a better time with the deadline and everything to get players assimilated and stuff. But I mean, come Sunday when the entire NFL is back at it again and they're still not playing, you're going to feel like they've been relegated at this point. I mean, it's crazy. By the time we get to Monday, it's going to be like, oh, my God, they've been off for what feels like a month. You just hope that the players don't feel like they've been off for what feels like a month.
Yeah, they had the mini bye week after the Giants game, of course, and now they got what I call the mega bye week now that they play on the Monday following their bye week. And you have Nick Sirianni talking today, Jalen Hurts, some guys will speak in the locker room as well, just get their feeling on how the bye week went for them and the rest of the season going forward. But I look at this defense, for instance, and Harry, you had talked about Jalen Phillips in terms of a good pickup for this team. One of the things I really love about this is that you already have exposure under Vic Fangio with the time that they were together in Miami with the Dolphins. And the other part of this is that the Eagles needed somebody that can get after the quarterback. When healthy, he can absolutely get, and he's been healthy this year, he can get after the quarterback. The other side of this is that he's not a one-trick pony. He's not just somebody that you're going to let run wild in the backfield. I mean, he could do it if that's the assignment, but he can also stop the run. You're talking about a guy that comes in here as an edge rusher. That's well within the top 15 in terms of edge rushers winning their battles at the line of scrimmage in the passing game. And then he's also top 7 in the NFL. This is playing with Miami, top 7 in the NFL in terms of win rate in running situations. This is a guy that is now going to be playing on a defensive line with Jalen Carter and Moro Ajomo, who are both one of the tops in the NFL in terms of interior defensive linemen. So you're joining that up along with Nolan Smith coming back, Brandon Graham rejoining the team, and then whatever Jahad Campbell is going to give you more than likely as an edge rusher more so than a linebacker now. I can't help but feel pretty good about where this defense is headed in the second half of the season, Harry, mainly because of the big pickup. I feel the biggest pickup without question, Jalen Phillips being here.
Yeah, and all that, we started talking about the cornerback position. You get more pressure on the quarterback. That makes it a lot easier to play, in that back, defensive backfield. So it'll all sort of, feed on itself if this all goes, in a positive direction, and I think it will. And plus, you got Miami paying some of the salary for this guy too. Not that we really care about that, but Jalen Phillips is getting out of a very bad situation. That Miami Dolphins, whatever is going on down there is as close to toxic as the NFL gets. And it's just it's a bad mix. There's a lot of talent and they're not winning. And it's just if you're him, you're getting out of there.
He took the Concorde, Harry.
Exactly.
Couldn't get here fast enough.
Exactly. And coming into this situation with a coordinator that you've got good experience with previously, it's real. I love that pick. And you gave up a 3rd round pick, which, is the highest thing that he's given away, but it's not their only 3rd round pick. Yeah. It's their 3rd round pick, which will be lower than the other 3rd round pick.
It's a diet 4th round pick.
Right, exactly.
It's a diet 3rd round pick.
And by the way, if Jalen Phillips is a great end of the year and he's still in his prime, you could either that's the good thing. This isn't like your 2018 Golden Tate type of rental trade.
Wow,
Phillips does.
Name.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about their past deadline moves. They gave up a 3rd for Tate, and he was gone after one half of a season. Phillips could present a long-term option there. He's in his prime, or you gave up a 3rd, but let's say he has a huge playoff run down the stretch, and he gets a $20+ million a year contract like most edge rushers
You'll
of that
get another
production do,
third-round pick.
You'll get a third. I mean, they got a third-round comp pick for Milton Williams, likely a fourth for Josh Sweat. We'll see at the end of the year. So you'll likely get that at some point in a couple drafts. So I think you can kind of have your cake and eat it too with this trade.
Well, think about it for him. He gets out of the dreck that was in Miami with that organization, and he goes to a team to play alongside Jalen Carter, which is going to benefit him greatly. And now all of a sudden, he's on a trajectory to go to the playoffs and make a run and try and go to a Super Bowl. You go from playing for nothing to playing for everything in a contract year. Hello. Yeah. You're going to have one of the most motivated players ever. I love like that part of the equation too for a guy. When you're playing for your next deal and you get to be put on the biggest stage with one of the best teams in the NFL, I think you're going to get the best from the player. So, and the comfortability with Vic Fangio, who's going to put him in a great situation too. So I think it's a home run move.
Yeah. And also, I know Go ahead, Harry.
No, I mean, you were alluding to Fangio sort of downplaying his influence on Howie Roseman, which, I thought was funny too. But there's no way that, Vic Fangio hasn't been looking at some film of Jalen Phillips in these first couple of games with the Miami Dolphins and determined that he's healthy enough. Like, I'm going to sign off on this.
Howie
Roseman wouldn't have
Roseman
done it.
Howie Roseman drafted a linebacker and a safety in the first 2 rounds this year. If you don't think Vic Fangio has influence in this front office, you're crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
That goes against organizational DNA.
Everything Howie has ever stood for. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, he paid another linebacker this year a top 5 contract.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Vic Fangio doesn't come fee-fi-fo-fumming into the draft room with that big grin on his face after they got Jahad Campbell. In the
he's
draft.
so coy.
Right.
Yeah, he is. That's the perfect right. He's coy. He's just like,
coy.
I didn't see. You know what? I didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing. Nobody asked me anything. I don't know anything about any influence on Howie Roseman at the draft. When we come back, I do want to talk about what's coming on for the schedule. The next 3 games. This schedule was supposed to be unrelenting, and that was the word we kept going back to in the offseason when the schedule came out, unrelenting. Yeah, it has been, sure. And this is supposed to be an unrelenting stretch that the Eagles have coming up now. And I thought these first 3 games were going to be really tough. With the way the Eagles have won back-to-back games going into the bye week, with what they have added around the trade deadline, including the pickup of Brandon Graham, I feel a lot better about the direction the Eagles are headed right now. We'll break that down and more when we return. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel.
Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles Squad Show is brought to you by Mizzen and Main. You know the saying, look good, feel good? The problem is that most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. They look sharp but feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. That's why there's Mizzen and Main. Mizzen and Main makes classic menswear with performance fabrics, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and they've perfected it ever since. Their shirts are stretchy, moisture wicking, wrinkle resistant, and machine washable. No ironing, no dry cleaning. I love that you can go from the office to dinner or even out on the golf course and still feel comfortable all day long. It's the feel of athletic wear, but the look of professional menswear. Right now, Mizzen & Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com with the promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen, spelled M-I-Z-Z-E-N, and Main, MAIN.com, mizzenandmain.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen and Main stores in select states.
We were talking about rescue dogs before we hit go on the show today, and I can't help but think when I saw the interview of none other than John Clark, Johnny Airports, interviewing Jalen Phillips at the airport. He looked like a rescued puppy. He looked like, thank you for letting me out of that place in Miami. Now I'm here, and everything could be great. They can just let me out and run. It's going to be amazing. They beat a Carson Wentz-led Minnesota Vikings team. And if Wentz was just a little bit better and connected on some of those throws, then maybe we're talking about them losing that game as well. They beat up on a Giants team that got worse as the game went on, of course, because their running back was knocked down in Cam Scatterbo. So the Giants certainly didn't get better as that game went on. I can understand why you could undermine the last 2 wins the Eagles have had going into the bye. But the bottom line is they won. And then they also did exactly what they were supposed to do against that Giants team, and they stomped them. Then they added the defense on this team. And now they're coming out against a Green Bay Packers team that is coming off, a really rough loss against the Carolina Panthers. They're going to be facing a Detroit Lions team that just took a loss to the they got another game in between, but they just took a loss to the Minnesota Vikings in J.J. McCarthy's return. And then they got the Dallas Cowboys, who I know they just added Quinn Williams and all that, but they still look like a team that is hapless. When you look at the first 3 games, Jason, coming out of the bye, we'll get him back in a second. But Louie, when you first look at the first couple games here coming out of the bye week, I'm feeling a lot better about where these Eagles are and the schedule that we always said was unrelenting. Feel a lot better about where the Eagles are right now than I thought I would.
Yeah, they look better on paper for their roster on both sides of the ball. And also, it's not like you mentioned, they beat only the Vikings and Giants in this 2-game win streak, but they did it in dominant fashion. It's not like they kind of limped through either game, so that makes you feel confident about it. And it's also like they've beaten good teams this year. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You've already beaten 2 of the top 4 teams that are going to compete with you for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So it's not like they don't have quality wins this year. And it's also not like this is a new contender in Philadelphia that's on a last place schedule. Like, for instance, last year's Denver Broncos or the Washington Commanders, this year's New England Patriots. The Eagles have been able to prove for years now that they can beat the best of the best. So I wouldn't doubt what you've seen these last 2 games. And now all these additions you bring in before the deadline, I think they're only going to get better as the schedule, I would say, remains tough. I think their schedule has been pretty difficult already. I think it gets more important as the year goes on from a standing perspective. But yeah, this is a tough stretch, but they've already had tough stretches and they're still 6-2.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley, I think, is primed for a big night on Monday night against this Green Bay Packers team. Rico Dowdle ran wild on them for the Carolina Panthers in that really bizarre loss. They lose at home as almost a 2-touchdown favorite to that Carolina team.
That's what the Packers do. It's still why I can't take them like fully serious as a top contender.
That's my point too. Now, obviously, it's on the road. But that team lost to Cleveland earlier in the year. They gave up 40 points to the Dallas Cowboys earlier in the year in a tie, and then they lose to the Panthers. So, I was thinking about this game at the beginning of the year that this would be some, kind of daunting. I'm no longer feeling that way coming off a bye week where you started to get the run game, albeit it was against a beat-up Giants team, but they got the run game going and a little bit of confidence with that offensive line, and I think that Saquon could have a big night Monday night.
They are. I think they're the 5th-ranked team against the rush this year, Green Bay, but not of late. It's not who you play, it's when you play them, what they've been lately. The other thing is, with the break, what does the offensive line come back like? With like Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens. That's such a huge factor for Saquon and the entire team. Is Dickerson going to be the full-time, the guy that he is? Is Cam Jurgens going to be able to stay healthy? If that's the case, then, and obviously Lane Johnson as well, we know what he means. That's a huge factor to the running game. And how much better does that make the passing game?
Yeah, my one takeaway from that is that Brett Toth just looked really good in that game. If you go back, and I don't really dedicate myself to like just watching the offensive line. I feel like that is something that ex-players do, and I am certainly not that, and I don't want to put myself pretend to put myself on that level. But I think anybody can look at Brett Toth in that game and go, oh, damn, he's a much better center than he is a left guard. So if Jurgens does need some time, I'll just say that. Brett Toth went up against a guy like Dexter Lawrence against the Giants, one hell of a talent, and he won some battles there as a center. So if Jurgens needs another week or 2, I feel okay about what Brett Toth could do at the center position. The left guard spot, a little bit of a different story. Now, you look at a guy like Landon Dickerson, who has dealt with back issues. He has dealt with knee issues, ankle issues, and all that. You hope that this is a moment where he can get out there and show that he can get back to the level that we have seen him at so far in his career.
Yeah, having this extended break is huge for Dickerson. I thought he already had 2 really strong games against Minnesota and New York, and now you give him this, double-digit day break, right? Was it been 10, 11 days at this point? So that's huge for him, and I think getting him and Cam Jurgens back going is really what's key to reviving the run game. I also think they should just continue to play this under center, offensive line heavy personnel where they have a 6th guy out there. Fred Johnson's been playing a lot over the last couple games. I think they should continue that strategy, especially against a very read and react kind of Packers defensive line that has been struggling against the run lately. I think they've kind of found their identity this year, and with the offensive line getting healthier and that under center play action kind of offense working, I think lean into that. I feel like they really were onto something with these last 2 games. So I think this is a good matchup, even though Green Bay is a very Jekyll and Hyde type of football team, and it's in Lambeau, which is tough on primetime football. I think this matchup does favor the Eagles in a lot of ways.
No, I agree. The other thing is, when I look at the first half of the season, Louis, as you were talking about earlier, they've had a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule all year, but they beat those teams for the most part.
Yeah.
And the other thing to keep in mind is they didn't play anything close to their best football.
Yeah, they were playing awful for at least one half of all those games.
Exactly. They played 2 quarters against that run. They played 2 quarters and they won. Yeah.
Very incomplete. You're right.
Yeah.
And now they sit at 6-2 with Tampa, Seattle, and the Rams, and they own tiebreakers over all of them, 2 because of head-to-head, and the Seattle because of the conference record.
Right.
So, I mean, they're really, in the driver's seat as far as that goes. The Green Bay game, I think, is very winnable on the road. Then you get Detroit at home, which is, a whole lot better. And then Dallas, and you brought up Dallas. I mean, Dallas, do they even know what they're doing? Personnel. I seriously, I'm seriously concerned for some of the people down there running that organization. Like,
it's a simple answer. Like Mark said, no, they do not.
They had one of the best defensive players in football on their roster. They let him go, traded him to an NFC opponent. And now they've been trying to, patch holes ever since with other players. And it just makes zero sense.
I love that they do this after losing, by the way. They're 3-5-1, and the NFC is loaded, and they just have no chance of making the playoffs.
Right. After some of their decision-making, you think they would 51-50 anyone making a decision down there.
Yeah.
Like, it's concerning how much of just a mess it is. And not only did they let Micah Parsons go, but it's like a day before the season starts. It was a total mess. Like, what are you doing down there? And I think that they like the dysfunction because maybe the dysfunction sells.
Well, Jera has been on record as saying he just loves to be talked about, basically.
Well,
like, he just loves the
be
noise.
Dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And they are.
Yeah. Well, he's going to accomplish that goal at least. As far as like winning football games, no, not gonna do that, unfortunately.
They are the champs of dysfunction.
Yeah, they are.
I think it's funny though. I think they hide behind that though. I think they're actually terrible at their jobs and they pretend like they're doing it on purpose. I don't like when people say that because it makes it seem like the Cowboys they could be good if they want to. It's like no, they're a terrible run organization.
They are.
I was also surprised.
Dysfunction of Fagul.
Yeah.
Did you see the press conference after their loss with Jera with the field of reporters like he does after every game? Oh my God! I was like, if this was Philadelphia, not that would happen with Jeffrey Lurie because he doesn't do that, but you're talking about I'm going to make a move. A move's in place. We're going to make that move. Well, is the move in place? Well, not yet. You just said it was in place. Yeah. Well, and it turns out, I guess he was talking about Quentin Williams, unless they just up their offer to the Jets to make it, well, I already doubled down on this, so now we got to give a first-round pick, I'm watching this, and I'm going, he can't answer a simple question about something that he made a statement about before the game.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't not only did you just get your ass kicked, you're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
I was also surprised Washington didn't sell off some parts, too, now that, Daniels gets hurt again with the dislocated elbow. They lose another game. They got Detroit this week, which is a very losable football game, especially with a backup quarterback. I thought they would trade maybe Zach Ertz to the Green Bay Packers.
I kind of like the idea of an Ertz reunion before the deadline. I think the Eagles could have used a second. After the Phillips trade, I'm like, okay, if they had to make one more move, what would you want? Like maybe tight end, like a David Njoku type. Then I thought about Zach Ertz. Like Washington's out of it. He's your second guy behind Dallas Goedert. I thought that would have been a good idea.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen it. I don't think Washington would have done it, and I don't think the Eagles would have give them a pick. Washington would have held him, for lack of a better term, they would have held him ransom for a better
division
pick.
packs.
But the Packers could really use him. They lost their tight end.
Yeah, Kraft's out for the year.
Yep. Tucker Kraft done for the year.
I'm usually not nostalgic. I would have welcomed Ertz coming back though.
He can still play.
Yeah,
he can absolutely. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
He's 1,000 times better than what Grant Calcaterra is giving you right now.
Yeah,
absolutely. So are we all on the same page here that the Eagles still have their best football in front of them?
I think
for sure.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, Louie's going to be at that Buffalo game too, which now changes the whole dynamic of that game. I'm telling you, I'm feeling really good about that.
I'll be behind enemy lines in that one wearing green.
You need to live stream something.
Louie's going to be there. Josh Allen's going to throw 2 picks.
He did last time I was there in 2019.
Wow.
So let's try to do it
There
again.
is.
Really good.
There it
Try to do it again.
is.
My guy Carson Wentz got that win.
Wow.
And the Bills just had the kiss of death.
Get
Bills
the
just
hand
had the kiss of
warmers and the
death.
gloves on that day, Louie. You got to
They
have
did?
good hands.
Oh, it was like a
yeah?
windstorm. Yeah, it's going to be a cold one. December 28th in Buffalo, New York.
In
Or
Buffalo.
in the South Towns, too. Brutal.
I am not going to that
In the
game.
No.
trenches.
Yeah, the Bills, their kiss of death is beating the Chiefs in the regular season.
yeah.
You know it's over after that.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
Yep.
That's your Super Bowl.
Brutal.
Louie will be there in the stands checking in with you guys on the postcast, all decked out in his, like, locked-on winter gear. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The little knit
That's
cap.
right. I got to get the jacket. Yep.
We need to
I got the
do
winter
like,
hat. I just need the jacket.
It's got the
locked-on
locked-on
parka.
long underwear, too.
The electric one too, Harry, with the
Yeah.
batteries.
I'm a company man. What can I say?
Promote the product.
Yeah.
Push
Product
the units.
placement.
That's right.
we
we
got
gotta
to
get you, like, those
modeling
old
that on
school-
Squad Show, by the way.
We got to get you the old school, like, Monday Night Football yellow jacket with the
Yeah.
locked-on patch. You know what I mean?
There we go.
Get that going.
And then,
All right, when we come back, what? Okay, that's the optimism you just heard from us there. What's the negative? What's the big concern going forward with this Philadelphia Eagles team? I know some people jump right to this one thing that I'm going to bring up, but what do you guys got when it comes to the big concern for the Philadelphia Eagles going forward? Talk about that and more when we return. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show.
All righty, let me tell you about Game Time. Game Time, yeah, NFL is totally in full swing. We're not even at the, I guess, technical halfway point. And honestly, there's no better place than being in the stadium, surrounded by fans, cheering on your team. And let's be honest, getting tickets, it can be a hassle. It can be a real pain in the rear end if you want to go. Sometimes so much so that you're like, I don't even want to go. I'll just stay home. Well, between queues, login screens, and prices, jumping at checkout, it can be very frustrating. That's why you got to use the Game Time app. That gives you the advantage back to the fans. It makes it simple. And Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. Now, what is that? You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. You're not going to get the surprise, whoa, extra $10, $15 at checkout. So the price you see is the price you pay. Now, look, if you want to head up to Lambeau when the Birds return on Monday night, do that. Or if you're just home games, whatever it is, check it out. You go right on the Game Time app, and you can see amazing deals talking about your favorite NFL games or anything, really, for as low as $100. The app makes it super simple. You can even see the exact view from your seat that you're buying before you buy it. Zone deals, too. Pick the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save big, and it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that you can buy tickets. So download the Game Time app. Do it today. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download the Game Time app today.
Biggest concern with the Philadelphia Eagles going forward. Louie, I'll go to you first. When you look at this Eagles team for the rest of the season, what concerns you the most? What area are you having the worries about?
Yeah, I think outside of the obvious injuries, cornerback still. I mean, again, they added a lot of options. I think of those five guys outside of Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell there, one will be consistent enough to not get this team killed down the stretch. But when you look at all of the depth chart now on both sides of the ball, that third cornerback spot is still the biggest question because we don't know what you have in Michael Carter. He's had some great seasons, but the last year and a half he's been, because of injuries, a different player. Same with Jair Alexander. What do you get out of Jacorian Bennett coming off an injury? Do you have time to figure it out? Like, you can't just keep playing all these guys and rotating through. So I think it's still obviously that third corner spot outside of injuries. Everywhere else, I'm feeling pretty good about this roster.
All right. Any other concerns? Anybody? Jason, you have a concern? Something bother you?
My concern, obviously, with what Louie said, is a concern. But in the interest of variance, I do have some concern about the Kevin Petula effect going forward.
Huh.
Are they going to play under center more? Now, we saw that work before the bye. We hope that they didn't forget.
But what if Juergens comes back and then they just revert back to a lot of shotgun?
Yeah, because Toth is not good at the long snap. Right. That's the question. If Juergens comes back, do you revert back to what wasn't working as good? Because he's good at that? there's a question there. Like, I still don't know exactly how much influence or how much blame, and I don't think we'll ever know, to give Kevin Petula for some of these really bizarre play calling halves, like when you don't target A.J. Brown twice until late in the third quarter. The lack of running game, that's part of the offensive line. Is it also scheme? Like, there's some questions there. And look, we have a really high bar with this Eagles team. They won the Super Bowl last year. So anything under that this year is a disappointment. So if they're going to do that, then Kevin Petula can't be any kind of weakness. So I do have some questions about that. Look, it's not keeping me up at night. It's not like that. But there's a little concern there. I know he's a paisan, and all you Italians on here back everybody up on the Italian. But I know. But
it's number one on my checklist every time.
I don't know that he had his finger pricked to get in.
I really don't have any concerns as far as, the squad. I really don't.
You're not concerned about anything?
No, I'm not. They haven't even played a consistent 4 quarters against a good team, and they're 6-2 and have the tiebreaker over everybody. The only thing that I would be remotely concerned about is if they lose a game somewhere along the line that you'd be chalking up as a win, like one of the 2 against Washington. Maybe they have a brain cramp and don't show up against the Vegas Raiders or something. They lose one of these stupid games that they should win, and they somehow lose the foothold on home field advantage, because I would be concerned about going to Tampa in January or going to Detroit. Other than that, I really don't. I'd be lying if I said I'm making one up.
So, Harry, if they have home field, they're going back to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yes.
And I think
it has to go through Lincoln Financial Field because of the tiebreakers.
I know Seattle is good on the road, and they've actually been better on the road than they have been at home, which is really bizarre. But there's no way Sam Darnold is coming in here. I know he's the flavor of the month right now, and has revived his career, and good for him. He ain't coming in here in January and beating the Eagles.
That's the thing about the NFC. I think the teams are just better than in the AFC. But there isn't a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes type of quarterback that you have to worry about. Oh, this guy could come into a hostile environment as a road underdog and steal that win. Like, could another team upset the Eagles at the Lincoln in the playoffs? Sure, but I think, like you mentioned, the quarterback specifically is interesting because, are you nervous about Darnold coming there? Jordan Love?
Maybe
we
Baker.
know that. Maybe Baker.
Maybe Baker.
That may be the one. But like Jared Goff, I'm not really concerned about. So that is an interesting point. Like there isn't like a cold-blooded killer quarterback in the NFC that can just be a 7 seed and run through the whole playoffs.
Right. It's going to sweep through, have to travel here, and deal with everything he's going to have to deal with in an NFC Championship game.
Right.
Like I don't feel threatened by that really at all. Maybe
and get these 2 wins. You might have the 1 seed locked up at that point because, like we were talking about, you own the tiebreaker over literally every team that is competing with you for that spot.
I mean, Baker is such a gamer. He might be able to pull it off. I mean, he's just.
I would love Tampa to come to Philly finally for once in the playoffs. Make them come
theater.
Here. If they lost, that would be awful.
Of you.
But give me finally make them come to Philly in January.
Let's bring Tony Dungy back.
Yeah, I need that divisional round first game of the playoffs. I need it.
Yeah, Eagles are going to find, Todd Bowles going to find a way to have Rondé Barber as an honorary captain.
That'd be fun.
Michael,
that would be a great troll move.
That would be funny.
No Jaravicious, have sideline seats. Huh? All right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a new concern, gentlemen. I had one going into it, but now I have a new one, and it's Harry's continued optimism. What the hell's with this? No,
I'm not used to it either.
Look, I watched the rest of this league. I'm not really scared. I'm really not.
It's a fair point.
I'm with it. No, I'm with you.
Scared
my concern is I got one that I think is absolutely legitimate, and then another one that is, unfortunately, it's one that I still think could happen, but I think it's going to take a lot for it to happen. The legit one, and one that I think everyone can see, is that the offensive line the game against the Giants was a flash in the pan. And Cam Jurgens, for whatever reason, isn't it this year. Landon Dickerson struggles. Jordan Mailata continues to struggle. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's not even ranked as one of the top tackles in the NFL this year. And last year, you're talking about the top-ranked football player in the NFL last year. Like, when you break down all the positions, that's where PFF had him. He ain't anything close to that this year.
He'll get Micah Parsons Monday night.
Yeah, we'll see.
And he got Micah Parsons coming up. Yeah, well, fortunately, Lane Johnson is his adopted father, and he just kind of owns Micah Parsons throughout their battles. So I don't mind that as much, but he can move around. They can get creative as a defense, obviously. So that is a concern. The offensive line for me, as I was saying, leading up to the bye week, if you got an O-line problem, you got an everything problem, especially obviously on the offensive side of the football. So if they can't find a way to up their game, if they don't improve their blocking schemes like they did against the Giants, again, albeit against the Giants, if they can't find a way to carry on that momentum through the bye week into Green Bay, back home against Detroit, and then in Dallas against the Cowboys and show that you've established a new blocking scheme to spring Saquon Barkley or Tank Bigsby now, gentlemen, then that is going to be a concern because you're going to have to rely a hell of a lot more on the passing game and creativity from Kevin Patullo. So we talked before the year started about Jalen Hurts saying that you got to pick your poison as a defense. We proved it we proved it in the Super Bowl that we can run the football, get into the Super Bowl, and if we had to throw it, we can win the Super Bowl that way. So now defense has got to pick their poison. Well, if you still continue as a defense playing against the Eagles to limit their run game, then guess what's going to become ultimately predictable? Their passing game. And that was unfortunately what the Eagles fell victim to for the vast majority of the first half of the season. But if your offensive line is clicking and you're setting up great blocking schemes like you did against the Giants, then I think you can literally take this ball and run with it and look pretty damn sharp on both running and passing in their offensive game. So that to me is a concern if the offensive line doesn't click in the second half of the season.
And I know that's totally true. But outside of like Mailata's, definitely hasn't been the same player this year. Outside of injuries, I think you can expect them to only get better. I think it was out of character that this team was so inconsistent as a running offense the first half of the season. So if I was a betting man, which I am, I would put my money on the running game being consistent the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think that like this group, they get through the first 8 games, they're 6-2, and you get to the bye. I think I believe in the human nature element of winning and then being a letdown after. And you're playing meaningful games, but they're not as meaningful as the big one you just won. To the human nature, I think they all kind of regroup at this break and say, we're 6-2. We got a chance to do it again. You don't get this opportunity very often. I think they all rally behind that, and you're going to get the best going forward. And if they're healthy, then I expect to see Mailata turn a season around. Just because it hasn't been great to this point doesn't mean that's how it has to end. That has to be the narrative all the way through. And I believe in their coach and Stoutland and the head coach that they'll get this thing straightened out. And if they get that running game going, I'm not saying they have to do what they did last year because that's not going to happen. But some semblance of that, it just makes everything easier. Because that was the big factor to me last year where they took teams' will in the second half and just ran it down their throat, controlled the ball. If they can do that again, then, they're going to be pretty close to unstoppable in the NFC for sure.
Mailata's also had an oft-injured guy playing to his right through these first 8 games. So
that's a
we
fair
talk
point.
about his health going forward, meaning Dickerson, I think, could really help Jordan.
Both guys next to him have been hurt all year. So,
I agree.
We don't talk about ever.
What's that?
Dallas Goedert. Like his first half was pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah. What does he have, 6 or 7 touchdowns?
7 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good in the first half of the season. Can he stay healthy is a big question mark, but he's been a huge factor for him.
If he's playing, he's great. I remember in the offseason we talked about, I think it was after they signed him, and they guaranteed his $10 million. They bumped it down $4 million, but they guaranteed $10 million to him. Ranking tight ends, in my opinion, he's one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah.
If he continues what he's doing this year and the Eagles win the Super Bowl, you're talking about a huge payday for him. Maybe even beat George Kittle in terms of what he could get paid in his upcoming contract. The problem for him has never been talent. The problem for him has always been health. And for the most part, he's been healthy this year, and he's been money in the passing game.
But he doesn't get talked about nationally, really, as one of the best tight ends.
Or even
like he should be because of all the other talent on the offense.
Saquon, AJ, and Devontae.
I talked about this on the show yesterday, too. Or even in Philadelphia, I feel like his legacy is almost kind of underrated because he was following up the greatest tight end in franchise history, right, that had the game-winning Super Bowl catch, was 11 catches away from being the all-time leading receiver. So he never put up the numbers because he was in his shadow, then the injuries and all the weapons that came after Zach Ertz. But Goddard quietly has been here for 8 years, 2 Super Bowls, the most complete skill set a tight end's ever had here. He's one of the 2 best playoff receivers, numbers-wise, in franchise history. So he has been building up kind of a quietly good resume in Philadelphia.
almost like an Eagles Hall of Fame resume.
Yeah, and but I don't think people see it that way, which is kind of interesting. And with the 7 touchdowns he already has, he's continuing to build off that.
Nobody brought up A.J. Brown as a concern.
I was thinking about it, but
literally where I was going next.
Yeah.
Like that was my
Elephant in the room.
lot of things. Yeah, when I was saying that there's like one that's really legit, and that's the offensive line, and there's one that I think it would take a lot for it to go really bad, but it is AJ. Jason, I mean,
yeah, it's a vibe concern. It's a little different.
You and I at going into the bye week, you and I, we talked about our wish lists at the bye week, right? You and I had drama. We don't want any drama. We don't want any of AJ Brown at his locker being like, "That's a good question. I can answer that, but I don't want to give you guys that." Don't tell me there's a story and then not tell me what the story is. Like, oh, that's a problem. Okay, why is it a problem? I can't get into that. Well, don't light a fire and be pissed off that people are pointing out the smoke. You know what I mean?
Let's take the social media off the cell phone for the remainder of the season,
or at least during wins. Like if I see that happen one more time when the Eagles win a football game and Brown's pissed, that's going to be a problem. If they lose and he doesn't get the ball, I totally get being mad. But if we see another kind of Instagram post like after the Vikings win, that's when, to me, if I was a player, I think I would have enough. So I'll be watching that.
72 touchdowns and you're pitching, you know.
Yeah, after a win, like that's when it starts to get. I think even the players won't have his back if he keeps doing that.
Brandon Graham just needs to steal his phone.
Yeah.
It's basically
BG's going to be 5th in the rotation, so he's got to stay busy doing something.
Exactly.
BG's going to come in like that play against the Patriots in the Super Bowl and strip sack the phone from A.J. Brown on Tom Brady. That I want it to be from a off the field standpoint. This is very unmedia like of me to say, a lot less noisy. I just don't want the noise. I don't want the distraction. I want the football. I don't want the noise because I totally agree with Louie. If he does it like after a win and you got 140 yards and a touchdown on, 9 catches on 11 targets, like that goes in through that room like, dude, seriously, you are a prick.
Or it's like Devontae starts to heat up in a game and they win throwing to him, who's having an all-pro season. I do wonder how that'll go over with him.
It's so un-team-like.
Yeah. And for the record, Howie Roseman did say it's hard to be great when you trade great players away.
Right.
So I don't think they were trying to trade him at the deadline. I do think they were getting calls on him because of all the drama. I think you'd be stupid as an opposing GM to be like, oh, there could be a problem there. Let me see if I have the right offer.
I think it was the Patriots just swirling around that rumor all the time and then offering them a 2nd-round pick, trying to lowball him.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. But I look forward to seeing what AJ could do for this offense.
I will say this,
especially if the offensive line is good.
I will say this: enjoy the remainder of the season with AJ Brown because it is going to be the last.
Yeah.
Probably it.
Probably is it. All right. When we come back, we got to talk about the defensive side of things. Oh no! Actually, Jason, you mentioned this. Brandon Graham. I don't know about you guys, but watching Brandon Graham sneak up behind Tom Brady on all those viral clips that happened last year and then happened in the game against the Giants before the game, I could watch that forever. And I hope that's a joke that never – when Tom Brady is at the podium in Canton, I want Brandon Graham to sneak up behind him and pick his pocket. Like when they're at an old-timers like reunion many years from now and they're walking across the field being honored or something like that, I want Brandon Graham to walk up behind Tom Brady when they're 100 years old and pick his pocket. Like I could live on that for the rest of my life.
How does Farzetta see all this stuff? I have no idea what he's talking about.
You haven't seen it?
Oh,
no, I haven't seen it.
The only reason it works is because
play it?
Brady's willing to play because Brandon Graham is such a good dude and went to Michigan.
Right.
That's the only reason Brady's playing along.
That's
excellent.
Right. The Michigan. Yeah.
That and Tom Brady has 7 other Super Bowls?
I was going to say, it's like your little brother beating you one time out of like 1,000 or something. You're like, congrats,
Sal
little
Powell
guy.
would not be happy with it. You can't win everything.
Sal Powell would not be. Oh no, I don't have it keyed up, but I'm sure we can. So I got this read to do. Maybe somebody could send it to Harry. But all right, when we come back, we'll talk about one of the changes on defense that has nothing to do with corner. That might be a taste of things to come here for the Philadelphia Eagles in the second half of the season. All that more when we return. This is Locked On Eagles Squad Show and Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Back after this. And right now, let me tell you about the incredible people at PrizePicks. You guys getting in on all the action when it comes to PrizePicks. Have yourself a great time. This particular episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I, you know what, we make decisions every day. But on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of the sports season. When it comes to PrizePicks, you're all in on NFL, NBA, both. Maybe. No better time to jump in on the action than with PrizePicks. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on player stat projections, at least 2 player stat projections. And if you get them right, you win. It's just that simple. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere. PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I've been using PrizePicks for years now when it comes to your football Sundays, NBA tip-offs as well. You can get on that action when you talk about Tyrese Maxey or maybe even Jalen Hurts going off. Oh, it's so much fun on PrizePicks. Plus, the new Stacks feature is a real game changer. You can now pick more on Steph Curry's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot saves them from your lineup. It saves you from a loss. Download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL, $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Gentlemen, Nakobe Dean back. Jihad Campbell moved to the outside, moved to the edge rusher more than anything. Jason, I'll ask you first, when you shake up this linebacker magic 8-ball, who's the guy that's going to be playing next to Zach Bond in the middle? Will it be Jihad Campbell for the rest of the season, or will it be Nakobe Dean?
That's impossible to answer right now. Jihad Campbell. I'll say Jihad Campbell. But I'm just happy they have viable linebackers because most of my life outside of Seth Joyner and Bill Berge, they did well. Trot was good, but they have viable linebackers, and then Bond makes that go, and Jalen Carter is going to make that linebacker group even stronger because of the attention he gets in front of them. So we'll see about Nakobe Dean. I don't know, Louie. How confident are you in Nakobe Dean?
I think Nakobe Dean's a very good football player. My guess is that he actually plays just as much as Campbell, if not more. If I was Vic Fangio, I agree with you, Jason. I think Jihad Campbell should be absolutely featured. Statistically, he's been the best coverage linebacker in all of football this year, and it's not like he was a liability against the run. He was the Rookie of the Year favorite before Nakobe came back. Now that they added all these edge rushers, and you can't hide behind, oh, we needed him on the edge. Let's see what Fangio does. I think he's very comfortable with Dean, knows what he has there, especially as the games get more important down the stretch. But I think it should be Campbell, and he's the future. Dean's a free agent after this year, and I think he's a better pass, in the pass game as a linebacker over Dean. So I think both should play. I think there's packages where both can be out there, especially against the run and the red zone, short yardage. But Campbell should be the guy that's never coming off the field. And I don't know if that's the way it's going to go, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to kind of depend on who they're playing, and really, because one's really good against the pass, the other's really good against the run. I mean, you saw where Dean came back his first game really back. He played special teams a little bit in that first Giant game. 45% of the snaps against Minnesota to Campbell's 87%. Minnesota's got good receivers. They had a pretty good passing attack. I know the quarterback was Wentz, but then the next week it kind of got inverted. 63% for Nakobe Dean. You're going up against the Scattaboo, lineup and limited receivers. So I think it kind of depends. They're going to, Vic is going to mix and match it based on snaps. Based on who's on the field for the opponent, I think. But it's a good problem to have.
Too, right,
it's a good problem to have. Like you said, we're talking about multiple linebackers that can actually play.
Options. Well, the thing is, situationally, too, if you're in a situation where you're up and a team has to pass the ball, you're gonna play a different guy. If the game's tight and they're a team that's running the ball and they need to run the ball, then you're going to play it that way as well. So to have the options for Vic Fangio, I think, is a big element of it.
Dean is also a pretty good blitzing linebacker, and Campbell's a former pass rusher, so you'd think he'd be better at that right now. But statistically, Dean's been the more effective player in that way, and I think it's also part of this is how effective these new edge rushers are. Like, if they are winning with 4, I think Campbell can be out there more, but if they need to start blitzing linebackers again, I think that'll also allow Nakobe to be on the field more. But yeah, again, it's a great problem to have. I mean, when was the last time the Eagles had 4 really strong. I think so. Like, I think Trotter could be a solid starter, a poor man's TJ Edwards at the NFL level, and he's your fourth linebacker. I mean, this is definitely an abundance of riches.
Yeah, I also wonder how much everything else that has changed on the Eagles' defense over the last 2 weeks affects the decision Vic Fangio makes. You mentioned just the edge rushers being here now. Well, Jahad Campbell played on the edge a lot against the Giants simply because it was needed. They didn't have a lot, as Vic Fangio put it, a lot of OLBs available, so they needed somebody else to be able to go out there and be the edge rusher. They needed somebody else like Nakobe Dean to play in the middle a little bit more. So, Harry, to your point, yeah, I agree. I think it's going to come down to matchups. The other side of it, though, is if you're Vic Fangio, I think you also want to know what you have. And if Cooper DeJean is bumped out to the outside full time now, then you don't know what you're going to have at the nickel spot in Michael Carter in your defense. If Nakobe Dean is the security blanket to play next to Zach Bond, that's at least someone that you know exactly what you have, someone you feel is more of a proven commodity, not necessarily working his way up at the NFL level like Jahad Campbell is. So it's not directly related, but definitely one has influence on the other when you talk about a little bit of a not roster remake or makeover, but certainly the pieces that you have added since the trade deadline. I think that could also help make the decision as to who's going to be playing next to Zach Bond as opposed to who's on the edge.
I think it's interesting, though. Like, Campbell is the better coverage linebacker, so if Michael Carter's in the slot, I almost personally would rather have Campbell inside at that time. But you're right. I mean, you have, again, with Vic Fangio, it'll be curious to see if he goes with the future and knows Jihad's my guy, I need to build around him moving forward, or what I know, I have what I know in Nakobe Dean. And so it's kind of it'll be interesting to see what the approach is. But I do think it's not black or white. I think both are going to play. It'll probably end up being like a 60-40 split one way or another. I don't think one guy is going to be out there, 70+% of the time.
But Dean probably won't be here next year.
No, no chance Howie Roseman pays two linebackers and drafts one in the first round. I cannot see that.
I just want to be sure about something. Are we actually witnessing a Philadelphia Eagles? And Jason, more to your point, are we actually witnessing a Philadelphia Eagles team that has more depth at linebacker than it does offensive line?
Yeah,
because I've never seen that. Yeah, that's new to me.
That is crazy.
Again, the Vic Fangio effect.
Yeah, right.
No Mark Semino moment.
Yeah. Well,
part-time kicker. Mark
I got a question because Monday night, I don't anticipate this whole ESPN YouTube TV thing to be fixed,
resolved.
So I'm going to have to actually listen on the radio, I think, to do the game to listen to the game. I won't be able to watch it because I have YouTube TV. I'm not ordering Fubo or whatever the heck else you got to get to watch it. So I'm going to be listening to it on the radio to do a post game show. I've never done that before. Any of you guys ever do that?
No, I'm gonna end up buying something to watch. And I don't know if it's ESPN. They're gonna get me. I cannot. I can't do it anymore. I tried with the first quarter of the Chiefs game because it was blacked out until the stupid Cowboys Giants game was over. And watching the game cast. Yeah, I'm like watching the game cast and listening to the radio. I used to be able to do it as a kid. I can't do it anymore.
I didn't watch Monday Night Football at all because I couldn't get it. I wasn't going to search for that.
Got to find the local pub. That's the move.
Yeah, we go to the bar. We have a locked on watch party.
Yeah, there you go.
We got to do the post game as soon as the game ends. What am I going to be? Am I stuck in a bar?
You go to the neighborhood, stuck in a bar.
Jeez.
You never called it stuck in a bar before when you were there for 8 hours.
Find the corner saloon.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me. By the way, because I haven't cut the cord. I'm still on cable, baby.
Oh,
I'm
you
still
are?
on cable.
That's big.
But where I'm watching the game, where I watch the games is on YouTube TV.
Oh, no, where's that?
It's not.
Cigar bar called the Tinderbox.
And then you do your show with...
Well, cigar store. It's not a cigar bar.
Okay.
Yeah. Cigar store.
Nice.
Then we do the show. But, it's the way we watch it is through YouTube TV. So now I got to come up with a way to try to
resolve this tomorrow. No,
I would hope.
I don't
they
know.
Got to
man.
resolve this.
They seem dug in.
It's two giants dug in. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, one's a giant. YouTube is Google. That's a giant. That's $3 trillion of market cap compared to $200 billion.
Isn't ESPN Disney though? I mean,
Disney's only $200 billion in market cap.
It's paltry.
Pittance. It's pittance compared to what
I love the word only before 800 billion. What was it? 2 billion?
Was it? 200 billion. Yeah.
Only.
Yeah.
How are they doing it?
I don't know.
But no, to answer your question, Harry, I've only listened to a quarter of if I'm like at a we've all done it before. We had to be at a post game show. At
Yeah, and
remote.
you're in the car for a little bit. Yeah,
exactly. And I like beg for the replay of that play as I hear Merrill breaking it down or whatever, and he's just like, wait, what was that? What happened?
Yeah.
I would just put the YouTube TV on in my car and stream it.
They won't have the game.
Are you driving?
No, before. No, I know now they won't, but.
Before you put it on your phone and
and listen to the Gamecast. I would do that too. Yeah.
I don't trust the radio broadcast.
There we go.
Oh,
hey, we appreciate.
Isn't that right, Mike?
That's how Matt Blatt splattered the game, Merrill.
Yeah. That's exactly right, Mike. This sponsor's brought to you by this sponsor.
Oh, the broadcast is so cluttered up. It's awful. I'm sorry.
Does it cost $7 million to put it on?
I know. They pay, $8 million for the rights fees.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Just made it over 7,000 subs here on Locked On Eagles.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, how about that?
Ow!
We're cooking.
Big testament to the hard work of Louie DiBiase right there, of course. It does the daily podcast right there. We appreciate you guys watching us here on Locked On Eagles Squad Show, of course, as well. These three have you guys covered for your Locked On Eagles postcast after the Eagles and Green Bay Packers kick off on Monday night. And if you're unable to watch the game, I know that Harry Mays will read the full play-by-play game book to you.
Maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do. Yeah.
In a full 1940s Walter Winchell voice.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the teletype in the background.
Yep.
Pitch right. Saquon Barkley, 2 yards. Second down. No, that kind of thing. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great as per usual. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Louis got you covered each and every day. These gentlemen have you covered.
You already said that.
As well. I know, but I got to
Jesus.
I got to.
He's a company man. He's got to do the plugs.
Don't you come off of this optimism that you're riding and this no concerns life you live.
Harry's got his tea time. Let's go.
Some of us occasionally have agita. All right.
Cold.
Anyway. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one. Bye.